Welcome to the Mid-City Soccer Show. I am your host, Matt Swift. Back with me, and we're back together after 3 weeks, David. David Gussler, how are you?
I'm good, Matt. Glad to be back. I wish I was on better terms. I kind of wished I was avoiding these tough shows or these these losses that we tend to keep having. But I'm good, man. I'm all right, I guess. It would be better if we had a win at this point. But how are you, man?
Yeah. Pretty good. This one was a pretty disappointing loss. Charlotte FC fall to Columbus Crew 4-2. David, before we get into the action, starting 11, was there anything that stood out to you in this one? Anything you didn't like?
Yeah, I know we were debating offline in text and etc. I would say I didn't have a problem with the lineup before kickoff. I was okay with it because I know some of the criticism that Latanzio got previous weeks was that we didn't have much creativity with Carroll up top. Our midfield was lacking. So made some adjustments. He must have listened to the Facebook group and said, you know what, guys, you guys are right. I'm going to move Carroll back to the midfield, create some creativity, and I'm going to put Patrick up top. And to me, I don't think the results showed. I know Ashley Westwood had a pretty good quote after the game, but to me, I was not really a fan of the way of the first half and really what we produced. But I know you have a different opinion, sir. So what do you think from it?
I do. I did like Ashley Westwood's quote. He basically was saying we let Patrick down since this was his first start. They just didn't play well. And, you know, I saw some comments and Slack and, you know, rest of social media about Patrick and he shouldn't have started and everything like that. It's hard to do anything when you have 12 touches. He had really a good play where he turned and had a shot. It wasn't on goal, but I thought that was pretty bright. It showed how he can use his body. But I thought he played decent for the amount of minutes that he had. Again, hard to do anything with 12 touches. The only thing I would question is that at halftime, we make a change. We bring on Ben Bender, which begs the question, why didn't you just start with that? Why didn't you start with Swiderski up top, Bender in the middle? And I thought Bender had a pretty lively game. I tweeted that out. I thought he did well. But why not start that? Was it because, you know, saving him, tired legs, you know, he's just coming back from an injury? I don't know. But he played 45 minutes. Not sure why he didn't start him. So that would be the only question I would have there.
Yeah, that is, I mean, it's easy for me to say Monday evening manager, right? To say, oh man, you should have done this instead. And, you know, vice versa. It's always easier to say that. But, you know, to me, heading into on the road against Columbus, you've been on the road for 3 weeks now. You need points desperately because you're tied with Columbus before this game. You know, 21 points could have been a differentiating from going into the top percentile of the division versus dropping down to barely making the playoffs. I would have rather had stuck with Bender because it was a known commodity. We know what we get with Bender, and you know what you get with Carroll up top versus this unknown of, well, is Patrick going to be good? Is he going to show up? Is he going to, you know, have chances created for him? Is the team going to support him? You know, whatever it is, right? You know, I get Ashley's quote there. It's the right thing to say. It's a great teammate. It's why he's a captain. You know, the team does have to create chances for him and support him.
Yeah, and we've always said cross and pray has been our motto. That didn't happen in the first half. Agamemnon wasn't able to get on the end of anything because there were no crosses coming into him.
Well, and that's the weird thing is that you would assume with Patrick up top, with his size and being able to kind of like shoulder people and, you know, outmuscle them from time to time, that would be the time that you're going to cross and pray. But we didn't do it. We did do it one time, but it got called back from offsides. And it wasn't even to Patrick; it was to Justin.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
You know, it is what it is. But yeah, it's hopefully Patrick doesn't get in a rut and doesn't feel down too much on himself from this point. But hey, that's the professional athletes. They're going to have highs and lows. So hopefully he can bounce back from this and have a good game here in the future.
For sure. Let's talk about all the goals because they came fast and early, unfortunately. Um, David, do you want to talk about the first one?
I don't really want to talk about it, but we can. So yeah, that was a little bit of an interesting giveaway there, right? It seems like poor Bill Tuiloma is seems like he's getting the short end of the stick and always a part of these giveaways or own goals or etc. this season. Which if you look back at the beginning of the season, you're kind of like, man, that's unfortunate. Now though,
Now it's a
is it?
pattern.
Yeah, it's you don't know if it's just unfortunate or if it's a pattern, like you said. So I don't know who he was passing it to. I don't know what he saw. It seemed like a pretty weak pass right across the middle, first 4 or 5 minutes into the game, and Harrison Awful tried to step in front of his man. Jan was caught off guard by it. I don't know who it was going to. I don't know. And then Kahlina's, I don't know, lack of commitment on what he was going to do just sat there and let a goal go in the first 5 minutes, which is what you don't want to do when you're on the road.
Yeah, the pass was weak. The pass was nonchalant and sloppy and silly. Kalina was out pretty far and committed. Maybe could have done a little better. We'll talk about him in a little bit later in the show. But yeah, that's not how you want to start the game. I talked about Bill last episode. I feel bad for the guy, but at this point, you got to sit down. You got to take a seat. We have Malanda, who was held out, had a little strain. Shouldn't be anything major. He should be back. We have, luckily, Guzman is back, so that's got to be your starting center back pair. You have Jan, Bill, take a seat. You're going to sit there for a while. If it were me, you just can't make that many mistakes so often. Players are human; they're going to make mistakes, but it is definitely a pattern. And at some point, you can't be out there. I was furious at him this game.
That's got to be a hard pill to swallow a little bit because I know we traded for Bill very earlier in the off season, right before the season started, right, and was obviously I don't want to say a desperation move, but it was a move that we needed to do, right? You had Guzman, who was out for an extended period of time. Anton Walks tragically passed away.
Yeah.
Your starting center backs were Jan Sobaszynski and Malanda, with Derek Jones as your potential starter backup. And you can't go into the season with just those three, right? So I get why we made the move. On paper, very experienced, tenured player, been with Portland for quite a while. And if you look at the cap hit or the salary hit, I mean, he's making 400,000, 500,000 around that part from a salary perspective. So it's not like he's a lower tier salary player on the roster, which, definitely hurts a little bit because you could have used that money somewhere else, like in the midfield or somewhere. You know what I mean? So,
True. I mean,
it sucks.
We had to make that signing, and look, that's got to be tough for Bill to. He's basically Anton's replacement, right?
Yeah.
So you're coming into a team replacing a fallen teammate. That's difficult, but he is a professional. I was excited about the signing. He's just not played well this season, and actually, he's played rather horrible because not only was he at fault for the first one, I thought he was at fault or partially at fault for two more. So let's talk about the second goal real quick, and I've got some notes because I went back and watched this.
You poor soul.
Yeah, so if you go back and watch the second goal, Bill just loses his man. He should be covering Ramirez, right? But instead he drifts out wide where Byrne has his man, and Bill leaves Ramirez alone. Ramirez receives the ball and has plenty of time to dribble and then swings it out wide to Arston. And then Awful and Jan both slide back and both guard Hernandez. Awful is not watching in behind him because he's pinched in. And then Arston does a simple step over to beat Awful, and we're down 2-0 within 20 minutes. And it's just absolutely maddening. But go back and watch Bill on that play. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, Bill could be at fault with that. I know Harrison Awful's been in the league for a very long time. You cannot let your man dribble like that and not force him out in the box that close. I mean, and the thing is, like it was like reminisce. I even said it when I was watching it with the Southbound and Crown folks here in Columbia. I was like, that's what Vargas tries to do every game, except this guy did it to the T.
Well, Harrison Awful tries to show him back on his right foot.
Sure.
But it's a simple step. He just gets beat. Like, it's just our one-on-one defending has not been great. Our positional awareness, it has not been great. But to give up the first goal like we did, and then you just don't guard a man, you go over to where Byrne is. Byrne has his guy. Even if Byrne gets beat, Bill can't get over there to cover in time. So why are you even? It's like watching little kids play where they just gravitate to the ball, and that's what it looked like. He just was going that way, and then just leaves his guy. It's just absolutely maddening. So yeah, we're down 2-0 within 20 minutes. And there's something else with that goal too. We have this horrible tendency to backpedal. Our defenders backpedal into the 6-yard box. And that happened multiple times in this game. And it happened with this too, just backpedaling, just allowing opponents to come forward. But not the way you want to start the game. It was horrible.
It wasn't long after that we at least showed some fight and flash with a potential goal by Justin Merrim that was unfortunately called back. Was that after the second goal, or was that after the third goal?
No, it was after the second goal. We had a couple chances. Swiderski had a shot at the back post that maybe he should have buried, but it was a really good block by the Crew defenders. But he had a chance there, and then Merrim was just a fraction off.
So close. So close. And it was a beautiful ball by Vargas. Like, I think actually that was one of the few times Patrick did have the ball. Patrick had it, passed it back to Vargas, I believe, and then Vargas was able to cross it across, with that swinging pass.
Yep.
And, that's what we were kind of expecting with Patrick and, Justin, taller guys there in the box. It was just a hair offside. So, at least they showed some fight, and then it got worse. And they let a third goal in. So, Matt, what did you see from that third goal, unfortunately?
Well, there's a little bit of our defense is horrible, and/or Columbus have players that can make things happen, which is also frustrating because I wish we would have players like that and do some of the things that Columbus can do. So on the third goal, Jan, before the goal, before the shot and everything, or for the pass from Zelerion, Jan stabs and misses. Brandt stabs and misses. So Cucho Hernandez is able to run freely through the middle after giving up the ball to Zelerion. He makes this great run through the middle, and Zelerion, who's a fantastic playmaker, which that's what we need, is able to just chip this ball right over our whole entire defense. Kahlina, I don't know what the hell he's doing, comes out half-assed. At that point, I wouldn't care if he just bulldozed. If you want to give a penalty, fine. I'm just this half-ass coming out. It just drives me nuts. But a hell of a play by the Crew. Like, great pass, amazing finish, and it just makes me mad because one, our defense sucks, and two, like, it'd be really nice to have that quality of playmaking and players running off the ball, because that's what happened. Cucho gives the ball up and then makes a great run through the middle, and then you have a playmaker that has the awareness to pick that out and chip that ball over like that. So, beautiful goal. Just pisses me off, though.
Yeah, it's disappointing because I'm going to do a quick plug for our Saturday morning thing that we did with the soccer and coffee show that we did. We even said, like, unfortunately, I feel like this game could be a high scoring game because of our defense, right? And Columbus was also missing some defensive starters, right?
Yeah.
And I know Corey tried to speak it into existence with us winning 3-1.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it
I
did.
think the positive energy went the wrong way a little bit there, Corey. So,
That's right.
um, but yeah, it was a really bad first half, man. Really bad.
Yeah. Yeah, not much to say else against about the first half, but we can get into the second half now. Um, the only change I believe was Bender, right? Bender for Patrick, I believe. Um, and then we got a little bit of fortune back. So Westwood gets the ball, not necessarily where he would typically be, more towards like midfield out kind of wide, and plays a fantastic ball to Swiderski, who takes this down beautifully and is able with his right foot to meg the goalkeeper and pull one back to 3-1. It was nice to see Westwood make this pass to pick his head up and pick out a player. And I think we need a little more of that. It's funny. Last episode, we were talking about how we've been promised this thing from the videos that Charlotte FC put out, this video from Westwood to Capetti, and they spliced this video together. We need to see more of that. But again, and I think Westwood has made an assist like that before. I think there was one to Capetti that was similar into space. But we need to see more of that. We need to see Westwood picking his head up and picking out, whether it be Capetti, Swiderski, Patrick, doesn't matter. But it was nice. It was a nice goal.
Yeah, that was like you touched on a little bit of that's what we kind of expected from Westwood a little bit. But I know we're playing Westwood as like this 8 kind of box to box midfield. I still don't think that's the best fit for him.
We don't have anybody else.
I know. We don't have anybody else in that space, I guess. But like, I don't know. I just don't feel like that's a strong suit. And I think that the fact that we're 17 games or 17 weeks in, whatever it is, and that's the first time you've seen that. I don't know. And no criticism to Ashley Westwood, no criticism to Enzo or Carroll or anything like that. It was a beautiful ball, beautiful play. I just wish we saw it more. But here we are.
Well, there's a couple things. One, our players are not picking their heads up and making forward passes. It's backwards, sideways, small, short passes, right? And then two, a player has to make a run. But a lot of times our players are making runs and they're not getting the ball, and that's frustrating. I know Capetti gets frustrated by that. But you got to try to make things happen, and it could be, it could have been a little bit of desperation. Just get the ball up the field. Sometimes you never know what's going to happen. We have some quality, especially up top. Let your players try to make some plays, and fortunately, it came off that time. And then the second goal, we get a little bit of luck. Columbus returns the favor with making a really, really ridiculous pass across the middle of the field. Merrim is there, pounces on it, and then we are back into this thing, baby. 3-2. Merrim scoring on his old team again. I love it. It
was a great 5 minutes of feeling right there. Let me tell you, I was like, man, is this going to be what we did in Bank of America Stadium last year? We're going to come back, kind of piss them off, everything like that. But then,
I really thought at that moment, I was like, okay, we've got the momentum. We can tie this thing up. And I would have been good with a draw. I said that before the game. I think I said 1-1. I would have been really nice and happy with a point, especially being down 3-0. But like you were going to say, David, short-lived.
Very, very short-lived.
Yeah. And I think I don't know which goal makes me the most upset, but this one might actually make me the most upset. So I got some notes here. Because
before you share the notes, I want to be on the record that the first goal made me more upset than this goal. This one's up there, but the first goal made me more upset than anything else.
Well, so I think this one upsets me more because the first one is just silly, silly pass. This one is just the epitome of what's wrong with us. And I think us coming back and having momentum and then immediately doing something stupid is what makes me more frustrated. So if you go back and look at the fourth goal, Columbus has the ball on the sideline. Bender lets a player just kind of dribble past him. He doesn't put a tackle in, really doesn't close him down. The ball gets played to Zelerion, who first times it. And then no one's guarding him, by the way. Bronico should be there. He's not there. Zelerion makes a first time ball down the line. Awful, who's pinched in, is not wide to take that on. Jan is in kind of like no man's land out there guarding. He's not guarding anyone. So Jan gives chase. And what do Bill and Nathan Byrne do? Watch this play. They retreat all the way to the 6-yard box. Again, dropping way back in. And instead of marking someone, what happens? Ramirez is able to receive the ball right in the middle. He's able to trap it, set it up for himself, and then shoot. Why? Because you have two bonehead defenders who are not guarding anybody, not stepping out, literally drop all the way. They might as well have been in the goal with Kahlina. And if I'm Kahlina, when I first started playing soccer, I played goalkeeper. I would literally at times go out and push my defenders off. Like, get out, get out of my way. I can't see. You're screening me one, and then you're right on top of me. Like, go guard somebody. And to me, that's just basic soccer. To see these two drop back to the 6-yard box like that, I threw my phone. I cannot stand it. It looked like two just clueless defenders and just hopeless. So I was super mad. I tweeted out, I was like, both of these guys can sit the bench the rest of the year. I sure as hell don't know why Jalen Lindsey was not playing anyway. I'm kind of getting over that. Like, I don't get it. So, yeah, I think this one probably made me the most upset just because of just how dumb of defending it was. Just, yeah, go back and look at it if you have a chance. It's just really piss poor.
Do you think that's coaching, or do you think that's players just not being present? Like, what do you think that is?
I think it's being scared. I think it is not having conviction. That's why I like Guzman Carrillo. If he's going to make a mistake, he's going to make a mistake by overcommitting. He's going to come at you. He's going to close you down. If you look at Crown Legacy, when they defend, they have conviction. They will come at you and they will close you down. There's none of this pussy ass, I'm gonna sit off of you. Jan does that. And Jan's done that in Crown Legacy. That's the one knock on him that I don't like. He backpedals and he's soft. I want my defenders up on somebody. I want them defending. If you're going to foul somebody, fine. But like, I took a screenshot. They're literally standing on the 6-yard box, and the two players are way in front of them, and they dropped off of it. It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. So,
yeah, it's definitely disappointing to see that, and I do agree with you that I don't know if it's, scared, mental, whatever it is. We are like the league's worst defense, and
yeah.
Players know that. They see it, they know it, they feel it. And if you know that you're going to potentially let in a lot of goals, you're going to play a little bit more passive, and it tends to bite you in the ass a little bit more. Yeah. So,
well, I've seen some debate about tactics, and I've said it, I don't know, for 10 episodes now that I've been on. It's like, I don't like Latanzio's tactics about the right back pinching in, and then our center defensive mid dropping back to the back line. And you could say, oh, well, it works at Man City. We're not Man City. Even Latanzio with his stupid quote, "We're not Real
We're
Madrid."
not
Well, no
Real
shit.
Madrid.
You don't have the player. You are not Real Madrid. You are not Man City. You do not have the personnel. You do not have the world class players to pull that off. And that's not a knock. Just let your players go out there and play the positions that they're supposed to. Give them some freedom. Don't make it so rigid, but don't put them in a position to have to do extra things. Like we're like a depleted squad, right? Like just let your guys go out there and play, right? And then there's arguments about it, like, oh, it could work, it could do this and this. I will throw out a number, and the number is 30. That's how many goals we have given up, and it's the most in MLS. So I don't care what your argument is for the formation. I don't care what your argument is for pinching in, not pinching in. All I can tell you is that it doesn't work with this team, with this personnel. So our coach has to be smart enough to say, hey, I want to implement this, but it's not working clearly because we've given up the most goals in MLS. So maybe I shouldn't do that now. Maybe I shouldn't put Brandt at left back. Maybe Derek Jones needs to stop dropping back at center back. Maybe we shouldn't start him at center back. Maybe we should start Jalen Lindsey. Do something different because what you're doing has allowed the most goals in the whole entire league, which is an embarrassment. So sorry, I'm on my soapbox.
How dare you, sir?
We can make this a little lighter episode in a little bit. There's just this combination of our players not living up to the potential and also our coach putting them in undue situations and just doing them a disservice. Subs have been horrible. The timing of subs have been horrible. And these tactics do not work. I don't care what argument you have. My number is 30. So you tell me.
Yeah, it's and not to go down the whole tactic talk because I'm sure people aren't tuning in to be like dissect the tactics, especially as you and me are sitting here doing a podcast and not coaching in MLS. But
I will talk about it all day long because again the number is 30. So yeah. I'm going to talk about the tactics because I think the tactics are shit.
So on that note, just from a tactic perspective, because you mentioned something we've done a lot of lately, Derek Jones, Brandt Bronico, whatever it is, center back or center defensive mid, does drop into almost like a fifth center back or a fifth defender, kind of like a third center back, right? We've had a lot of opportunity with our midfield this year. We tend to not create much. We tend to try to play out of our wings, just cross and pray, whatever it is. Them dropping back like that has got to open up the midfield a ton, right? Like it's got to open up a lot of free space. You're relying on Ashley Westwood to cover a lot of ground, who like is not the fastest guy out there, right? And now here we are in these situations where we're trying to transition, and our center defensive mid is dropped back to our defensive line, and you've got Ashley Westwood and whoever else, Carol Swiderski, Ben Bender, whoever it is, as your midfielders, basically.
Yeah, and to me, that's easy to defend because now we're down a player. Because how this is supposed to work is you're supposed to be able to come out of transition, right, after you dropped in and then you move back. But our players are not moving well. They're not able to receive the ball, and we're slow. We're slow in transition. We hold on to the ball too long, or we're just not aggressive. We'll look up, we'll see a player making a play, but I don't know. And then we pass it sideways and make the easy choice to have possession. Let me ask you this real quick. How do you think Brandt Bronico played? I know you love Brandt. I love Brandt, but how do you think Brandt played?
It was not his best game. I think if you look at statistically, I think FootMob, this was his third or fourth lowest rated game this season. And if you look at those lowest rated games are some of the games where he played left back. So
do you know what his passing rating was?
I do not, off the top of my head.
He was like 32 for 33. You know what that tells me though?
Sideways and backwards.
Bullshit passes. Bullshit short passes sideways and everything. And that's I think that right there tells me a lot of what I need to know is that if you look at that stat, like, holy shit, that's an amazing stat. He only one pass went astray. But, he's dropping back into the back line. because Ashley Westwood's going forward because Derek Jones wasn't on the field. Like,
But
Brett
is it
Bronick,
just to play devil's advocate though? Isn't that some of the things that people have been praising for Derek Jones this season? Is some of his passing completions and like being able to make good passes, but then it's the same position and same style of play that he's
right?
being expected to play, right? So
Yeah,
is it really that big of a drop off between Derek Jones and Brant Bronico in terms of midfield production between the two?
yeah, because we're talking about tactics, right? And the tactics is both whoever's in that role is going to drop back in, and we're going to dick around the ball back. I say that a lot, and it doesn't get us anywhere. And so I just want us to play a little more freely. I want us to, if we're going to lose, let's have some fun. Let's have some fun with it, right? Let's press.
We already let in 4 goals and we were trying to defend. Might as well just get, do TST 7v7 style soccer. Just go all out and just try to score some goals.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, if you're going to play like this and give up this many, play your kids. Play, bring up some more legacy, folks. I mean, this is ridiculous. Letting in 30 goals is just absurd. We are almost at 2 goals a game conceding. I think we're like 1.77 or 78. I mean, that's horrible. So whatever we're doing, like I said, I just keep throwing out 30, and like whatever you want to say, this person does or that person does, whatever we're doing does not work. So. I hate to be really negative, but even when, even during like the LA game, even when we are winning, I still don't like some of the stuff that we're doing, and we've got to switch up because we're just allowing too many goals in.
So what do you do in that locker room after this game now? So like, you walk away 4-2, you at least showed some fight at the start of the second half. Showed some chances early in the first half. So is it all doom and gloom, or what do you do differently now heading into Seattle this week?
No, it's not all doom and gloom. I mean, there is still something to be said about the team missing folks. There is something to be said about playing 3 back-to-back-to-back road games all the way out in LA, and then Philly, and then Columbus, and Philadelphia is an amazing team. Columbus is a really strong team. So it's not doom and gloom. It is really, you got to look at your defense. And again, maybe you don't pinch in. Maybe you just you line your guys up naturally and let them play. Maybe you bench Bill, and hopefully Corujo is good to go, and him and Malanda can be our starting center backs. Jalen Lindsay at right back, and then awful at left back or Mora. Again, Mora's been kind of MIA. He's your natural left back, and he's strong defensively. And that's the other thing. Mora's really strong defensively, and he's not playing because we want to play a 36-year-old or move over Nathan Byrne, who weighs 50 pounds and gets blown over by the wind. I'm really bitter about it. You're sorry. Sorry, guys.
So you know what's going to fix this is we need to be able to take you to the game and have 3 points this weekend, because I think that's what that, or you need to take a road trip with Chico. Just since I saw you take a sip of his beer, to help you out of this a little bit.
That's right. Yeah, I am drinking his the new Serum La Muerte Lager, and New Serum is a brewery in Salisbury. It's very tasty. I like to drink these at the tailgate. But yeah, I didn't want this to be a negative Nancy episode, but yeah, just frustrating. And it's just a consistent thing. So I think this game really highlighted our deficiencies on defense. So hopefully we can wrap that up. But next topic, though, doesn't get all that better. So I want to talk about goalkeepers for a second, David. Now I think is a great time to bring this up because Marks and Kahlina have both played 7 games apiece. So I want to kind of give you a comparison, if you'll let me, David.
Please enlighten us, Swift.
Yeah.
If it's going to go the way I think it's going to go. But if it's going to go the way I don't think, then I don't want to hear about it.
All right, how do you think this is going to go, for one?
So I in the back of my head, if you're going to bring this up, I wonder what Kalina's save percentage is with a team that has been a little bit more consistent and sound defensively than George Marks, who had players like Brant Bronico playing left back and Derek
Mm.
Jones playing center back in front of him. So curious from that perspective, because I know our biggest gripe with Kahlina, it's not so much some of the shot saving. It is his
Mhm.
distribution, because I know you and me were texting during the game. I think anytime that he gets the ball to pass, it just ball goes to no man's land. It's a dead ball. You might as well just give it to the opposing team and let them have a free kick, because it's going nowhere. But over to you, sir. Please enlighten us on this goalkeeper statistics here.
And of course, as I'm trying to bring this up, it's like slow to load. I had it all ready, set, and ready to go. So between the two, as this loads, and it's taking forever, who would you think has been the better goalkeeper?
Hmm. If you're looking solely at goalkeeper statistics, not win or loss or draws, if you're looking at just basically save percentages, um, distribution passes, etc., I'm gonna venture and say George Marks has had a better save percentage than Kristijan Kahlina.
So, David, I've got this pulled up now. So,
Let's go, man.
both have played 7 games,
Okay.
same amount of minutes, of course. Goals against, Kalina has one less with 11. Marks has 12.
Mm-hmm.
Kalina has 16 saves. Marks has 30.
Wow.
So almost double.
Hmm.
And if you look at save percentage, Kalina is at 59.3.
I was to say that means Kalina's save percentage has got to be pretty terrible if he's had half as many shots but has let in just as many goals, right?
Yep. So 59.3 is his save percentage. Marks is 71.4.
Hmm.
And then this is the one, too, that I really want to look at because I think Kalina is a horrible passer. So accurate pass percentage, Kalina's at 66%. Marks is at 74.
Hold on. You said 66%?
Yep.
That cannot be true, because I know we watch every game and it's like
That's
every
short.
ball is
That's short passes. That's
okay.
short passes. Everything else. But here's the good one.
Okay.
Long ball percentage. Are you ready?
Oh, it's
And
like
so
10%.
let me go back. So passing percentage, 66%. Marks is at 74. Long ball percentage, Clean is at 37.7.
So bad.
Marks is at 46.7. So both have had one clean sheet, which is sad. But
And then
yeah.
so you said they both played 7 matches, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would be venture to challenge that Charlotte FC had a tougher schedule for when George Marks was in goal than when Kristijan Kahlina has been in goal. I have no statistics to back that up. That is just my gut feeling. But I'm pulling it up as we speak just to say that. But like I mentioned it earlier, like George Marks was in goal and we had like Jan still with Crown Legacy. We had Derek Jones as our backup center back, and you had Nathan Byrne playing center back and Brant Bronico playing left back. And it still only let in just one goal during that time frame, right? I mean, if you're looking at all right, so I've got it pulled up here, right? So,
Yeah.
Obviously Pablo started a few games here
Mm-hmm.
and there. He started against St. Louis. He started against New England for us, right?
Yeah.
But then if you're looking at how it went moving forward, right? I mean, geez, man, some of these I don't want to look back at some of these games. These are pretty rough that I don't want to relive. But I mean, yeah, it's I don't know, man. This is
So I'm people love Kalina. I want to root for him. I was excited for him to come back. I just thought this game too, he let in some pretty soft ones. I have never, even last year, really liked his distribution. And so I'll let the stats speak for themselves. Of course, you do have to factor in different games, different opponents, who was in the lineup, who was playing where. So just keep that in mind. But I thought that was interesting because they have both played 7 games now and want to just take a look at it. And honestly, I guess I thought Kahlina would be a little better off, but I was mistaken. But I
I
really
mean,
wanted to look at the passing percentage because whew,
here's George Mark's opponents, right? Atlanta, Orlando, New York Red Bulls, Toronto. Did he play for against Salt Lake or was that Kahlina? I think that was his last game, right?
yeah, yeah,
And then so Kalina's was Colorado, Columbus, DC, New York City, or Atlanta, Chicago, Nashville, LA, Philly, and Columbus.
yeah.
So
So
I don't know. I mean, they're about the same, I guess, in terms of stretch of strength.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
wouldn't say anything too bad. So
Yeah, I mean, both have not been great. Yeah, there was just, like it's the crew. I thought, yeah, Kalina, especially on the one, probably could have done a little better, but it is what it is. So, David, let's transition to Saturday. Finally, we're back at the bank, but we are playing Seattle. Seattle is 8-3-6. Seattle started strong, but they've been all over the place the past couple of games. So since May, they've only won twice, they've tied twice, and they've lost 5 in all competitions. However, Seattle's defense is very, very tough. They have 9 games where they've given up 0 goals.
yikes.
Yeah. They have only given up 14 goals. That's tied with St. Louis. Only Nashville has given up less in all of MLS. Technically, LAFC has given up, I think,
But
only
they've only
like
played
10.
like 12 games. So.
Yeah, they've only played 12 games, and Seattle's played 17. So that's 5 more regular season games than LAFC. So it's not going to be easy. Seattle's going to come out probably in their 4-2-3-1. The middle's going to be clogged, which I'm a little worried about. So for us on defense, we got to make sure their striker stays isolated. I do not want us to pinch in. I want us to spread out, and I want to spread Seattle out. I don't know yet. Enzo Capetti and Jozuak did not train today. I'll know more. This will come out Tuesday. I'll know more Wednesday. Usually Wednesday practices and Friday practices are the ones that you can really tell who's going to be ready. But as far as I know, I don't know if we're going to have Capetti or József. But I would like to see us use our wings in this game, use our speed. I don't mind our left and right backs overlapping. I just don't want to do any weird pinching in, moving our center defensive mid back to the back line, any of that nonsense. Just straight up play. We really got to be physical. It's going to be hard to break Seattle down, but I think our speed can do that. So
That's a little, I don't want to say disappointing, but also alarming that Camille is still potentially out. Because I feel like he's been week to week now for almost 2 weeks. And I know those muscle strains, whatever it is, could be difficult to measure, but I feel like I wish there was a way we could measure. I guess we could manually do it. Or we can just call our friend Von Pullman to be like, how many games have DPs missed for Charlotte FC this year versus some other teams? But injuries are part of the game. You got to do what you got to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's a good point. I know Swiderski's played a lot of minutes this year, but yeah, Capetti and then József's been out twice. So, yeah, our whole squad has been getting injured. So, need to look at that strength training coach and conditioning coach and see what's up there. Hopefully,
I blame the turf. That's what it is.
okay. You know, um, I was looking at some stats for Seattle. An interesting stat jumped out at me. Just total passes that they have. They lead the league in total passes by almost 700 more passes than Columbus, by the way, who's number two. Uh, Passing percentage, they're really great on like 83%. And then accurate forward zone passes, they lead the league in that. So,
That means it's a recipe for success to go up against Charlotte FC right now. Let me tell you, if you're super successful passing forward, you might have some good luck against us in the midfield and the defensive side.
but I mean, honestly, with Seattle's form's been all over the place. Um, I feel optimistic about this. We don't have a midweek game. We have some players that are coming back. I like our chances, honestly. This is going to be tough. This is a tough home game, and it's one that we desperately need to win. It's a Western Conference opponent, and we've got to keep pace with the teams in front of us and need to put some space teams behind us. I think was it Montreal's like right behind us. I think they've played one less game. I think. So this is going to be huge. The game against Montreal is going to be huge. So it's time to bank some points, no pun intended, at the bank.
Look at you, sir. Look at you doing your little pun there. It's almost like I should go take my Sir Minty chain that's back behind me here and go deposit that in the bank for us to get some extra points here.
Yeah, we need some good luck. So whatever you've got this weekend, whatever Lucky Charms, whatever jerseys you haven't washed, like bring them out. We need some good vibes. We need some good luck and turn some things around. This was a tough road trip against some tough opponents. We're down some players. We haven't been playing all that great, but it's time to turn this around right at the midway point of the season.
Yep, no excuses now. You gotta do it.
Yeah. So, David, do you want to answer some fan questions?
Let's do it, man. I feel like it's been forever since I've done this, so let's do it.
All right.
Awesome. So this first one comes from CLT Sports Fanatic. So why do we still play Bronico a full 90 minutes? It hurts me in my soul a little bit just to ask that question. Is awful minutes due to a lack of trust in Lindsay or poor roster building? And do you think we should switch to a 4-4-2? And would that be a better fit?
Ooh, so three different questions there. Let me address the first one. Why do we still play Bronico full 90? Bronico's work rate is tremendous. Bronico stays healthy, so that helps. Yeah, everybody else around him is injured, so he gets to stay out there because he's fit and healthy. I think ideally what you would want is to probably bring him on to close out games or maybe start a match and keep it close, keep us in the game and then sub out. That's not a knock on him. He's just a workhorse. He's going to put in tackles. He's going to get yellow cards. But the reason why he keeps playing is one, injuries, and he works really well, and he doesn't get injured himself. And I think that the coach trusts him. I mean, he asked him to play left back, and he did. And I think no matter what position you tell him to go play, he's going to play it. And he works hard. Some people don't like him. Some people think he's not MLS level or whatever you want to say. But, I mean, at least the coach thinks he is. And Miguel did too. Miguel Ramirez really liked Bronico and started him and played him every single minute. So you've got two coaches now that think he should be out there for 90 minutes. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying you have two coaches that have done that now.
I'm gonna be my Bronico fan club here.
Do it.
You have your Swifties out there. I have my Broncos, whatever it is. I'm gonna say, yeah,
Wait a minute, Swifties like Taylor Swift? Not
yeah,
not
yeah.
my fan club. I don't
No,
have.
no, you
I
don't.
don't have.
No, you don't
But
have Swifties. So no, no. I'm always gonna say I want Brand to start just because he's my guy. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, I get it though. I get why people ask the question because perfect world, man. I wish I had the best player in every position ever possible too. But
Mhm.
you know, but yeah. So let's continue on those same questions, right? So do you think we
Yeah.
should switch to a 4-4-2, and do you think Awful starting more is because of a lack of trust in Lindsay or what?
I'm not sure why Lindsay's not starting. I don't think Awful should be playing and starting as many minutes as he has been. Again, I look at the bench. You have Joseph Moore. I know he was hurt for a little bit, but he's back. He's a natural left back. You have a natural right back in Jalen Lindsay, who's younger, who I think plays really well. So I'm kind of baffled. I don't know. I don't think it's poor roster building because I think Awful brings you some experience and he's a veteran, but he should be filling in. He should be subbing in. He shouldn't be starting and playing every single minute. And as far as the 4-4-2, I'm okay with 4-3-3, but I'm up for a change because, like I said, what we've done really hasn't worked. So
Yeah, I mean, you gotta figure it out. 5-3-2, 3-5-2, or whatever, like 4-4-2, do whatever.
a
Just
lot,
give
and
me
a lot of those
points.
formations are fluid, right?
Yeah,
So
I mean, I feel like we've been playing pretty much a 3-5-2 anyways, with the way we've been pinching in our left and right backs and all that stuff, anyways. But it is what it is. So thanks for the question. So Swift, this next one comes from Andrew. So the back line has been a liability all season, from being caught out of position, leaving the other team's attacks with too much space to operate, to terrible passes that just lead to turnovers and easy transitional goals. How can all of that be improved without? So I'm going to add to his question, without just replacing every player. How do you fix it with what we got?
just like I was saying earlier, don't introduce some weird tactic. Just let your players play their natural positions, and the players have to play with some type of confidence and an eagerness to get forward. And don't worry about making a mistake. Like I said, I think we play scared a lot of times, and we're just so hesitant on the ball. I talked last episode about Derek Jones. I'm like, I wish he would just get rid of the ball just one touch sooner. And I think there's this like hesitation or indecisiveness with this team, and they're not confident. Just play free. I think that would improve a lot of things. But I'd like to see us line up with four in the back and then play that way, and don't get fancy, especially when you are down players. Just go out there and do your job.
So Swift, Isaiah states, not really a question, but I'm tired of the quote Latanzio out remarks. So everyone was quiet when we went 6 to 8 games and did really well with them. Where was the appreciation for Latanzio then? He doesn't. They feel like this loss wasn't completely on Latanzio. They blame this loss more on the exhaustion and our quality of our back line. So I'm gonna pause my comments for a second. So Swift, over to you first.
Well, I think the folks that are critical of Latanzio, they are still upset and don't like what they're seeing, even when we're winning. Now, I haven't been Latanzio out per se. I just really don't like what I've seen, and I am one of those people that even in some of our wins, I'm still not liking some of the stuff in the back line and everything like that. I said in the Philly game, uh, that game just by itself, I think Latanzio's hands were tied. The subs didn't bother me all that much. Definitely on short rest, from going from LA to Philly, playing back to back like that. I can write that off. And we only lost 1-0. This Columbus game is a different story. Giving up four the way we did, and then on top of the tactics and stuff. So I can see why people, want him gone. But like, I do think if you're going to be critical, you do need to give praise though when things do go right. You can say, "Hey, Latanzio had a good game. Hey, he made a good sub." You could still maybe not want him to be the coach next year, but you should be able, if you're going to be critical, you should give praise and vice versa.
Yeah. So I'm definitely not on the Latanzio out train, and I will
No.
I will totally acknowledge that there has been some coaching opportunities, especially early on in the season, right? So, especially starting players like Brant Bronico at left back and, Derek Jones at center back, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Totally acknowledge that. And I think he owned that. I think that's why you don't see that happening anymore. I disagree that this past game is on Latanzio because, frankly, the players have got to play better. Latanzio is not Bill Tuiloma passing it 5 minutes in directly to Columbus. Latanzio is not Harrison Awful just getting crossed over and allowing guys to drag into the box and let a goal cross in. Latanzio is not allowing Columbus to come in and volley a ball into the air over your goalkeeper who hesitated to do anything and, go from there.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yep.
agree that, now if you look at what he adjusted in the second half, hey, he made subs and he made changes to the tactics, and you all of a sudden were back into the game at 3-2 within the first 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then again, a mental lapse in players made a difference in the game. And going back to what we said earlier, I don't know who else on the bench would have made that much of a difference defensively for us at that point in the game. Now, don't get me wrong. There's definitely opportunity. I don't like our fullbacks pinching in to the point where they become 2-6s, 2-8s. We get transition play, etc. I get it. It's just part of what he obviously wants to scheme. But go ahead.
Let me ask you this though. I'm just being devil's advocate here. Why didn't you start Ben at the beginning? Why didn't Carujo play at all? Now Carujo made a sub appearance at halftime. At halftime, you could have brought. I mean, if I'm a coach and I see you, because you're talking about individual performances, which I totally agree, because the coach can't go out there and play himself.
Right.
I do think he adds a little more stress because of the tactics, but I mean, yeah, he can't go out there and be a goalkeeper. He can't go out there and be a defender. But at halftime, when I see a player that's responsible for at least 2 of the goals in the first half, I might want to play Carujo. You got to give him minutes, and you want to stop the bleeding. Like he could have made that change.
Yeah,
he could have started Ben Bender. So there's some choices that could be made, sure. but again, like it doesn't matter if Latanzio puts on a masterclass or if he has his whole entire squad available. If they're going out there and not playing well,
it's on
not performing well, and making bonehead decisions, like the players have to do their part too. So it's a little bit of both. It doesn't have to be either one.
Sure,
but there's definitely both there.
It just feels like there's this air of you. It's either the coach or not the coach, and there's a gray area. You can be both. You can criticize but also support, and it's I don't know.
Well, I mean, fans are fans. I mean, I guarantee someone listened to our segment about Kahlina and Marks, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, you're an idiot because you think Marks is better. Kahlina is way better." I mean, and that's
sure.
and like we both like Bronico, so we probably see more of the things he does well than things he doesn't do well, or someone else who absolutely cannot stand him is gonna be like, "Oh, look at that touch. Oh, look at him jogging. Oh, look at this." So that's just part of being a fan.
Yeah.
I don't like some of the disrespect that I have seen towards our coach. But at the same time, I mean, it kind of comes with the territory. I did love him coming out of the locker room, acknowledging the shirt and just kind of like, yeah, okay, cool. Like, wasn't a jerk about it, saw it, kept going.
I'm waiting for him to have a speech where it's Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit, and that's I'm waiting for that.
I absolutely love that little clip, man. It's so true sometimes. Like that's just the way it is, and like MLS is such a. I said this last episode. MLS is such a weird league that every other weekend you could win 5-0 and then you could lose 5-0 and you'll beat a team that's number one in the league and you'll beat them 5-0 and you'll lose next week to the team that's in last 5-0. Like it's a crazy league. So it's a roller coaster ride for fans, and I definitely felt that on Saturday after the Philly game. I was like, yeah, like we're gonna get these players back, and we just had a really good performance, and I'm okay. We're good, and then just to play the way we did just gets me back on this like, oh, we suck again, like. So it's tough to stay even in this league. You can't get too high and too low. You just got to be even.
So, two things before we move on to the next question. I think that's the name of the episode is sometimes it'll be good, sometimes it'll be shit. But that's just me personally speaking. The second thing I'll say, and I'll have to find the stat to post online on our social accounts, but it is really difficult to win on the road in MLS. I think even Von Pullman shared last year, like as long as you win on at home and then you win a few games here and there on the road, you'll get into the playoffs, right? So that's the biggest thing is that we need to capitalize on the games at home for the remainder of the season, and then pull a win on the road here and there. So who cares at this point?
We've won more games away this year than we have last year, but we got to win a couple more because here's the thing: we've lost a couple of home, so you got to get those back. So
agreed. All right, so let's move on to this next question. And by the way, thanks, Isaiah. I appreciate you get my back there. So, so this next question comes from good old Rusty Varner. So, so if we had to improve only one position this summer in the summer window, because that's coming up here pretty soon, would you focus on goalkeeper, center back, left back, or right back? And which should the team focus on?
Oh, so I think we answered this question a couple episodes ago. I said left back and then a number 10 playmaker. But if you're giving me just the options of goalkeeper, center back, or left or right back, I would have to say, shoot. Well, we do have Corujo and Malanda back, and you have Jan.
And Bill.
And you do have Bill, as much as I'm upset at him. You have Neely that could possibly step up. I would say you need to figure out your left back situation.
I agree.
Because it can't be Burn and it can't be awful going forward. And if Moore is not going to play, get a left back.
Yep. So. I agree. If that's the only options to be able to fill, left back will be the one you have to focus on. So this next question comes from Joe Garcia. So your choice. So if you think about this, right, do you think it is possible that Lattanzio will ever learn from his failures, or should Tuiluma ever start again?
Oh, I don't think Bill should start anytime soon. Do I think Lattanzio will ever learn? I think so. I think Lattanzio has actually shown that he can progress and move and see things and change. I'm hoping that, some of these tactics he will move on from. I think he can improve. I mean, he's been an assistant for quite a while, but this is really his kind of first go as a head coach. So yeah, I think he has a lot that he can improve on and learn.
Nice. Yeah. So this next question comes from David Kelly. So Nathan Byrne has seemed to either regress this year versus last, although he's been getting better. Do you think that the fullback problems from last year made Byrne look better than he was, or was there a true regression potentially from the way that he's playing this year versus last?
Yeah, good question. I think there's some definitely regression. I'm trying not to be too negative here, but I think he's not as fast. He's not a tall guy, and he's rather small. I know that's different than being a center back when you're tall and bigger, but I don't know. I feel like he has regressed. Just there's been maybe 3 or 4 games where I thought he's played pretty good, but yeah, I just haven't been happy with him this season.
Awesome. So you ready for some fun questions here, Swift?
Let's do it.
Awesome, man. So Eric Hill asked, so Charlotte FC is recruiting a new high-profile international player for the summer window. The player's never been to the States. So you have been chosen to curate a 2-week summer vacation itinerary that will make or break the deal. What would you make sure this player sees or does?
So are we saying that I have to put it? I can just go anywhere in the summer?
So I would say North Carolina or South Carolina, because that's where they're going to be living. So what are some things?
Okay.
Let's make it more local. So what are some things that they have to
Okay.
do here for to draw them in to be like, I've got to sign with Charlotte FC?
Yeah, I mean, you got to take them up to the mountains, and you got to take them to the beach. Show them that the state has both, right? And both are very beautiful. Yeah, you got to take them to Carowinds, take them to the zoo. What else is there?
You got to take them
Maybe
to Matt Swift's, beehive in the backyard. You got to check
take
that
them
out.
to check out the bees. Maybe rent a car and go out. Drive around the parkway a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Top down. I don't know. Yeah.
I think the Whitewater Center would be a good choice to kind of take them to.
Yeah.
If you're doing both Carolinas, take them to Charleston.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I was just down in Charleston, so
Yeah.
yeah, I could take him. I could take him treasure hunting.
Yeah. Then you would really seal the deal when you were like, I just found this gem. We found it.
Where else can you do that?
So I think that's a good question to kind of think through, and it makes you also realize some of the fun things we can do outside of soccer here. So this next one comes from Roy. So Roy always asks some really good questions. Has also made themes for our episodes in the past just based off his question alone. So his question is: would you rather have the power to control the weather within a 1 mile radius of where you are at any moment, or clap your hands and 3 hot fresh tacos made to your choice, made to your taste, appear on your plate before you? So what would you rather do? Be able to control the weather within a mile radius of you, or would you rather have 3 fresh hot tacos at the clap of your hands?
I don't see much good in just creating weather within like a mile radius. If it was like 10 mile or like especially on weather delays,
game
games
days,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. Like a mile's not good enough for that. It would be kind of cool where it's like just around you it's never raining, but like everywhere else it's like pouring down rain. So everywhere you walk is just
It's like the
sunshine.
anti Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, right? You're walking
Yeah,
around with sunshine versus a rainy cloud.
but tacos are like my favorite thing. We had tacos tonight for dinner, so I think I'm gonna go with tacos. I
Yeah,
think that's gonna be my answer.
I'm gonna go with tacos as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
because man, like if I could just make it how I want, like if I could have the taco guy from the tailgate, if I could snap my fingers, be like, there's some beef or some pork there, carnitas. Man, like now I'm getting hungry again, even though I just had a salad for dinner. So that sounds really good, actually. But so just off topic, Swift. So like, how do you like your tacos? You like street style? You like kind of like American style tacos? Like what do you want? What do you like?
I think street style. I will basically take any taco you can give me. I just love it. We make different ones here. I'm really big on peppers. I love peppers on them. So
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
onions, peppers. Yeah.
Yeah, I like them really simple. I like, a little bit of onion, a little bit of peppers, possibly, right? Beef, pork, carnitas, whatever it is. I'm not picky, but I like corn tortillas more than anything else. I don't really like flour tortillas. So corn tortillas are my favorite.
Yeah.
So
I think that's kind of where I'll land too.
yeah, awesome, man. So that is it for questions tonight. So Swift, what do you think from a score prediction wise? Let's go on the record here for the game this weekend against Seattle. What do you think the score is going to be?
I think 2-1, Charlotte FC. I think we actually score 2 first, and then we do this stupid thing where we bunker in and they score one late.
Got it.
But I think it's 2-1.
So I'm gonna channel Corey Ensko here. I'm gonna speak positivity into existence. I want to see those big ass flags waving a lot on Saturday. I'm gonna say Charlotte wins 3-1. I have no real basis on that. I'm just gonna speak it into existence, and if it happens, I'm gonna be super excited.
So it's kind of weird. I don't know if you actually listened to the last episode, David, but that's literally what Corey said.
I know.
And it didn't happen.
Well,
so you just jinxed us.
Well, that was Corey saying it and not me. So,
okay.
We'll see. We'll see. And then here we are again. And then next week we'll be having a nice little break and we can talk about how terrible both me and Corey are at predictions. But
I think so. And speaking of breaks and things like that, so we're going to be putting out an extra episode. Don't know if it's this week. Could be next week, but we're going to do a special podcast around promotion relegation.
I'm going to make so many people mad on that episode.
I think I am too. A lot of people have been talking about it. We actually, Kate asked the question for the fan questions, I think last episode, but I thought like it'd be cool for the three of us just to have, 20, 30 minute conversation about it. I have a lot to say. But what I'd really like to do is like, once we have that episode, I'd like to hear everybody else's thoughts and you'll have more an idea of like what we're talking about once we do the episode. But yeah, not sure if that's going to come this week or next week. So just be on the watch for that. And I put out a poll today for the book club, the Mint City Soccer Show book club. A lot of people have voted on it on Instagram, on Slack, and on Twitter, and it's gotten pretty positive feedback and votes. So I think that might be a thing. So
nerds,
nerds. It's just really an excuse for me to read and do book reviews, and because I like doing that stuff. But yeah, there's lots of cool soccer books. If you have any recommendations, send them over. I think the first one's going to be called Done Deal. And what I'll do with these is I'll put out a book review first and then give you a chance to get it. And then towards the end of the month, David will do like a virtual meeting like this, or we might do a Twitter space where people hop on and we just talk about it a little bit. So
Done Deal. That's the book you recommended to me during COVID, I think. And I actually read that book. So that's back when I had plenty of time on my hands.
Yeah. It's a cool one. So it's about salaries and budgets and player wages and stuff like that. It's very neat. So I think we'll start with that one first. But yeah, put out some more information on that. So yeah, got some cool stuff coming up soon.
And I will just tease here. I will do another soccer and coffee on Saturday morning before the Seattle game. So we'll get some interactive, starting 11 predictions, score predictions, sip some coffee and tea or energy drinks, whatever. Pick your poison. And we'll discuss that before I drive up to Charlotte. I think so. Be good.
If you listened in,
we had some breaking news.
The lineup. Yeah, told you that Patrick was going to be starting. So, Miz, I thought it was you did a good job of leading that, and a lot of people tuned in, and I think it's cool it was neat for our first little go at it. So that's something that we can keep doing. So yeah, tune in Saturday morning.
Awesome. Well, on that note, buddy, I think that's it. Unless there's anything else you want to add.
That's all I got.
Awesome, guys. Well, we'll see y'all, I guess, Saturday morning, and then see you at the game Saturday, Swift.
All right. See you guys.
See you guys.